on what the media wants to sort of project. But
TRP
I feel
again.
these interviews are the real deal. Like you actually get to sort of know your guest beyond what's there, on social media, etc. Yeah.
Hello to the good people over the internet. Today we have with us none other than Mr. Aditya Veera. You all know him from the Stalwarts of music podcast, the famous podcast this man does. Once again, thank you so much, Aditya, for joining in. It means a lot.
Likewise, pleasure is mine too. It's great to be on the other side for a change, to
Same
be
people.
interviewed by another fellow podcaster who's extremely passionate about Indian independent music. It's an incredible privilege to be part of Musicstaan.
So many compliments for dinner. Tell us your journey of, I don't know about us, let's leave us. Tell me, I'm a greedy person. Tell me about how did you started podcast and why did you start it? Like what pushed you to have to do this?
All right. So it was during 2020 when the world completely isolated itself from social conversations and everything. I used to be a musician. I still am at a certain capacity. I have my own band, Thayirsadam Blues. We play a lot of funk and blues music. We're a Bangalore-based band. And it was sometime around the pandemic where I had come home. I'd come down to Coimbatore. And I wanted some medium to sort of, get in touch or network with musicians and industry experts from across the world. So that's when this idea popped out of nowhere. I decided to make a database of some established record labels and agencies that manage a lot of established producers, festival curators, etc. So I decided to sort of do this as an experiment, wherein I connect with these set of people. And a lot of you might not know this, but I'm also an artist manager. I manage some very, very interesting artists. In fact, from Calcutta, speaking of Calcutta, I manage Amit Datta, the Amit Datta trio. And I also
the podcast angel.
Yeah. So Amit Datta, then other interesting names like Oranjoy Sarkar, who's another phenomenal blues guitar player from Cal. And I also had a stint in Calcutta. I did my primary school and I had my fair share of good times in Kolkata. And that's how I sort of established some rapport with some, homegrown musicians in Calcutta. And I started managing a bunch of artists. I manage close to about 7 to 8 artists in a full-fledged manner. So I felt it would be a good platform to sort of open doors for them in terms of international, opportunities, etc. Because these musicians play Western music and they cater to that market, essentially.
Yeah,
so I thought
target segment, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a good idea to tap into that market and understand how that market works. How is it different from our Indian indie market?
Typical entrepreneur.
So, yeah, I guess. And I'm also personally in the corporate space. I'm also a coder. I work for PricewaterhouseCoopers. I'm a techno-functional architect. So I wanted to sort of use that kind of expertise into the musical side of things as well. Hence, I decided to build my networks and start my podcast. It never intended to be a podcast at that point in time. It was more of an Instagram live series, because Instagram lives were the thing, right? Back in 2020, a lot of us would love to just have candid conversations with anyone for that matter on an Instagram live session. And 2020, I had one guest, which was a gentleman called Mark Urselli, who's a very reputed Grammy Award-winning producer. He's worked with some big names like Sting, Les Paul.
Wow.
He's worked with Radiohead and a couple of other interesting names. And he was my only guest. I just had one guest in 2020. And
you kind of mailed him,
2021,
right?
I just mailed him. I just found his contact, I believe on Instagram or his website. And I just shot a mail. So he also looked at India, considering the population and the diversity of culture that we have. He wanted to, establish his presence in the Indian market too. Considering, I was working with Orange Joy and all these interesting artists. He heard their music and he wanted to work with our set of indie artists, right? So that's how it all started for me.
For me, it was a frustration. For you, it was an inspiration. Interesting. Kind of meet somewhere, right?
Yeah. Sure.
How did this name come on with like Stalwarts of music?
Right.
That's interesting, man. I asked you for the poster for I don't know. You are kind of frustrated with me. I was like, "Kitna puchega?"
Well, considering the nature of artists that I have been talking to, they have been, they're already sort of established. They've made their presence in an international market. And the best way to sort of honor or salute them for, whatever they have contributed and, whatever significant contributions and achievements, I felt they are firstly sincere to their craft, right? And they are veterans in the music scene. Not just veterans. I mean, the show has sort of, the show has sort of, streamlined itself to industry experts, upcoming musicians, and intermediates, right? So it's a mix of all three flavors.
Healthy diet.
When it comes, it's the best of all three, worlds. So hence I felt that'll be like an appropriate title to have. I thought first title would be sort of in conversations with, but that's a very common name to have. So a better idea would be to have something related to music and, giving them prominence in terms of this entire experience that we are trying to present. Hence Stalwarts.
Where did you find that name? You brainstormed it or Googled it? Exotic names?
Not Googled it. I mean, I think it just came to
nowhere.
Me out of nowhere. Out of nowhere, yeah.
Now that's a sign of an artist,
Yeah.
Really interesting question. You've had podcasts and have guests from Grammy Award-winning producers to Marco Miniman to Guthrie Govan to Eric Gales to whatnot.
Right.
What is the common thing you see between all of those established and big-name artists and artists who are not really there but want to get there? What is one thing common in them?
Okay. So if you were to pick a common strand among all of these artists, they have facets of visionaries, right? So they think beyond one particular song, right? Like a lot of us, when we want to sort of get started with music, we'd be like, oh, I like this John Mayer song. I'm going to learn this song, right? But these guys, they look at the bigger picture. They look at music as a whole. They want to learn music, right? And they're hungry to do, they're hungry to do anything that takes to sort of learn beyond what's
Challenge
expected.
themselves.
Right? Yeah, challenge themselves, and of course they've been exposed to music from a very young age. If you look at a lot of these people like Eric Gales or Richard Bona, they come from very strong musical backgrounds, right? In fact, Richard Bona comes from Cameroon, and his entire family, from his grandfather to his uncles, all of them are into music, right? And it was more like a do or die. I just need to sort of establish myself in music, and I'm going to make my own instruments. If I can't afford them, I'll make my own instruments. He made his own flutes.
Oh
He
yeah,
made his
yeah,
own
yeah,
set of
yeah.
guitars or whatnot at such a young age, man. I mean, at least we have the privilege, or we are given access to all of this, but we don't make use of it. But these guys have
Are so
always
like
been
driven.
hungry. Yeah, truly driven, and it comes naturally to them. Music is running in their blood, and they are on a mission. Of course, they have also developed and learned things the hard way, right? In fact, if you look at someone like Eric Gales, he has learned. He has fought. He's been a fighter. He's been through several phases of being an artist and everything, but he's sort of come out of it as a successful musician, and he's nominated for his Grammy this year. Really, really rooting
Oh
for him
wow.
at the Grammy Awards. He's got like some very strong contenders for the best blues music album,
Yeah.
nominations, and all these guys, yeah, they're disciplined. They have a vision. They'll do anything that takes to sort of work towards, or achieve that particular goal, right? I mean, they are not like distracted by social media. They don't give a shit. They just focused on their guitar or their particular craft, right? So their entire focus is there, and they are highly disciplined individuals, right? They look at their particular profession as something which is sacred to a
Worship.
certain point, right? So yeah, and for some people like Eric Johnson or Robin Ford, it's more of a
Oh yeah.
spiritual experience, right? So I mean, these are like some qualities that kind of make them a class apart from a lot of people who have not gotten there, right? And there's no hard and fast rule that you kind of check the list of all these must-haves, you'll make it, right? Especially when it's a industry like entertainment or music, right?
Extremely cutthroat
you can
competition.
Exactly. And even if we look at the podcasting business, we have so many incredible podcasters in India right now, right?
Like Aditya.
And if you look at, I mean, there's a whole lot of them, man. There's a whole bunch of them who are doing this as a full-time thing. That's the level of dedication, and that's the level of that's the
Money they're
investment
getting
that
out of
they're.
it.
Yeah, for sure, man. So I feel a lot of musicians are working towards it, and I feel time is also very important. Like, I don't know if you're someone who believes in the concept of destiny, or something that's meant to be, or something that's written in the stars, right? I also feel for a lot of us, if things are very time bound, if stuff is meant to happen, it will happen, right? Patience is definitely a virtue.
In terms of having having had conversations with such so many people from the Western market, Western music industry,
Right.
like, have they told you what difference they see in terms of India as a music hub, not Bollywood, apart from Bollywood, and their apart from Hollywood, their scene, a Western scene? Because
Right.
I know, we all cherish that and talk about that, the outside world is so glamorous, the Western, they support each other.
Right.
But actually, do they
Correct.
support? It's like the goddamn same thing, like here as well.
See, there are a lot of ways to look at it, right? So if we are speaking about the independent market, independent music market, right? Here in India, we have different. If you were to look at how can an individual artist earn a living or make a living out of the live music scene, there are a lot of avenues, right? So either they do like launch gigs, or they do music festivals, or they do the usual clubs, or brunch gigs, or corporate shows, right? So that is available to a great extent in India, but again, the process of, or the experience that they are being put into to make this a livelihood isn't that significant, or isn't that great. It's not got to a very mature level in India, is what I feel, right? The experience being given to an artist, right, in terms of this whole looking at live music as a livelihood, right? I feel it's a little more streamlined abroad, right? So I could give you a few examples. So if you were to look at, say, a music record company or an organization like Universal, for example. So in fact, I had the privilege to interview Julian Larg. So Julian Larg is being managed by Blue Note Records. But even though he's managed by Blue Note, he's got Universal Music India representation. He's got Universal America. He's got another representation in Canada. It's a little more well structured there, right? So there are so many people who are representing just one artist to sort of make him achieve his whatever goals or whatnot. He's got a separate social media manager. He's got someone for the publicity, etc. Then he's got someone for makeup, etc. Right? So it's a little more well structured and more disciplined there. They
organized.
They take it very seriously, right? Like including the agencies. So they specialize in that particular area of expertise, is what I've noticed. In India, it's still not reached that level of maturity, especially for Indian indie artists. There are certain artist management companies, etc. But again, it's not like that well structured when you compare it to the West.
So basically, in India is प्रोडक्शन मैनेजर कहीं और है, गिटार प्लेयर कहीं और है, गिटार कहीं पड़ा हुआ है, स्टेज पे लाइट्स ठीक नहीं है, साउंड इज
bullshit. I feel specialization has not come to that level right now in India. If you look at like a producer, he not only focuses on production for one artist, he does a lot of session stuff. He does, he's probably the sound engineer for a lot of artists who are traveling. So he's not able to sort of streamline or drill down to just one facet that he wants to, establish his expertise in. He does multiple things when there is a question of livelihood, right?
Exactly.
Paisa banana,
survival.
Right? I've got to get food on the table. I've got to make sure that I'm stable.
Wi-Fi bills are paid on time.
Exactly. So when that comes into picture, I feel things just get
diluted.
Diluted, and people are subjected to sort of be all over the place. Yeah. So that is still not there to a great extent in India at this point. And especially you look at how lounges or how dive bars, etc. work, right? For artists, they don't pay artists on time. Paisa nahi milta. Like if you're an artist,
it's a common.
The least that you can expect as an artist is get my payments on time,
or get a beer.
And I don't know how many artists are successful at that at this point. they don't get their payments on time. Being an artist manager, I have literally gone through that phase where I've not got a lot of payments. I mean, no matter what MOU you're trying to draft, there's nothing called artist rights, which are like predefined, right? I mean, at least
you have to like abide by these compliances all the time.
Exactly. You comply to a certain contract. I mean, you stick to it. Goddamn, at least stick to your word, right? Like if you've committed to a 30-day payment
more
policy.
Human.
Yeah. I mean, here what happens is a lot of artist management companies or, of course, like the lounges who kind of do business with you, they rotate your money. They put your money into another gig, and that happens with another artist, right? So the entire process gets affected. I don't want to take names, but again, this is very sad state of affairs in India, right? Payments. I mean, I've not just heard of this in the music field, but any kind of entertainment. This is like the normal trend.
Freelancing.
Right? Yeah. It's a very, very hard thing, man. I mean, if you don't get your payments on time, I don't think something that any artist could look forward to other than getting their payments on time, which is basic, right? So when the basics are not right, I feel a lot of things can go wrong. But otherwise, I see a great future, in terms of what's happening in India. We've had a great deal of indie festivals. After the post-pandemic, I've seen a lot of things pick up, and things look very positive for a lot of independent artists in terms of, their market in India.
As far as I'm concerned, what I'm looking at is, what do you think, correct me if I'm wrong, what I think can be a solution is a good amount of economic development in the space of independent music scene. Why don't we have a indie universal fund to fund tours and albums and singles, out of which, so that can be a pool of money. Artists can use that, having a kind of a payback or a contract time, or what if they go on tours, they make some money, give half a percentage to them, in which case the three parties are kind of happy. Like, that's what I'm thinking in terms of that.
I mean, it has to be a little more sustainable model, because we have so many artists, right? I mean, if you look at any city for that matter, you've got like so many artists who are trying to put out original music, who are trying to do tribute stuff. So there's no shortage of artists, but we need to figure a proper model wherein everyone's kept happy in whatever capacity that you're trying to do this entire fun thing. I mean, you do have a lot of these funds. So you have organizations like Toto Music Awards that set aside funds for artists. And in fact, Humming Heart magazine, I was just going through some article on the internet. They are funding a Bangalore-based band for producing their new album, right? So you have a lot of these organizations who are trying to sort of support in some capacity, but again, as artists, it's definitely like a race, right? So there's stiff competition, and I feel more than a funding model, there needs to be a community model, right? Like where artists support each other. A collaborative effort would be more significant, where you support each other, you stand for each other's rights, right? Say if someone's in trouble, you have like a community of artists who are trying to help resolve that particular situation for him or her, right? So that'll be a good way to go about anything.
To be honest, like if I be very honest with you, we can say that be collaborative and stuff, but deep inside, we are all kind of going around for a fucking competition with everyone. Like, wo mere se upar kaise chala gaya? Something of this. After all, we are Indians.
Right.
We know what is IIT. We know what is goddamn medical. We know everything. When it comes to music,
Right.
you see, from the COVID time, there's also a huge burst of independent artists, as you saw,
Right.
singer-songwriters, musicians,
Right.
instrumental players, guitar players,
Right.
whatnot. But
Correct.
kind of like Bollywood, it has become, as far as I'm saying, वही टॉप पे जाके दो तीन बंदे बैठ जाएंगे और नीचे जो है, they are kind of like serving them, to be honest. So 2, 3, 4 artists are big names. Tickets will be sold out for goddamn, I don't know, $5,000. And after that, these artists remain in that state also. So is this a hierarchy problem we have achieved? Not achieved actually. We have withdrawn from the Bollywood structure because Bollywood में वही 5-10 actor है, बाकी सब नीचे है. They get all the process all the time, and these guys once in a lifetime. What do you think of this? Like, it's kind of like a mushroom thing, umbrella.
See, if you look at indie music in general, there are a lot of good organizations or artist management companies. If I were to take few names like Represent Management, so they manage Anuv Jain and all these incredible bunch of artists. They are not just an artist representation company, but they're also great promoters, right? When Anuv Jain had announced his first tour, it was sold out. Like, it was his first ever tour, and it was sold out in almost every possible city, right? He was doing a pan-India thing, and they did a great deal of promotion and figuring out a trajectory for someone as successful as him to sort of show or set the benchmark for a lot of other indie artists. So I feel a lot of these companies need to sort of diversify and develop a lot of skill sets, not just as an artist management company, but also be a good promoter at the same time, and look at different facets that can sort of make the artist number one, right? So that kind of mentality can definitely help a lot of indie artists fare better, right? So be it social media campaigns, be it branding themselves, or be it bundling their music out. In terms of strategizing the entire process for an indie artist, if you have a good team to work with, I think you'll have a lot of other successful artists like Anuv Jain, for example, right? Or maybe a Pratik Kuhad or whatnot, right? So that can definitely happen, right? Hip hop has grown a great deal in India. Indian heavy metal is also,
especially in Calcutta, the hip hop scene is bursting right now.
Yeah, so it's very hip, and of course heavy metal also, the kind of metal that has come out of India has been revolutionary, bro. Yeah, you've seen a lot of bands. In fact, Bangalore's got a lot of incredible bands that have gone to walk-in open air in Germany. And of course, like there's Bangalore Open Air, which is doing a great deal of work in the Indian,
right now we have the
heavy metal
good people from like Bloodywood. Great deal of job they're doing.
Bloodywood, for example,
touring right? Like internationally right now.
Yeah, they've been playing back-to-back festivals. They've in fact played everything from iRock to Weekender. I think they also Lollapalooza. Yeah. So you have a lot of these bands that have set their own trend, and they're doing great for themselves. Right? So you have those bands too, and you have a lot of artists who are putting out good music, but they're not recognized enough, or maybe they've not reached huge masses as yet. Right? So that
they
will
like develop a good marketing strategy, right? Nowadays.
Yeah, a strategy or a good team to work with, or find a good bunch of people to work with. Right? Find that right set of people, or that right hierarchy that you'd like to work with. Right? Build that for yourself. be it musicians that you're working with, or be it your promoters or your artist management company or your distributors, whatever it is, like find the right set of people and you're all set. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of platforms do you suggest, or websites, or online portals, or offline centers for all musicians and artists? Well, let's broaden up a bit. Creative professionals where they can go and learn certain things about, not just about music, but some insights on the music industry, music business, and all of that stuff. Like, is there?
Well, so there's a lot of documentation on the internet, and no one knows where to start. Like, say, I want to learn how to play the steel guitar, for example, right? So there are a lot of courses that are available on the internet, but a lot of us don't know where to start, right? Because so much of it's quite overwhelming for anyone to sort of go and figure out what is step one, right? And get into deep dive or whatever. But from what I've known, a lot of these guys that I've interviewed, Melanie Faye, she's got her own program on her website. Then Cheryl Bailey, I've spoken to her. She is a guitar faculty, head of the department for guitar at Berklee College of Music. So she's got a couple of interesting courses on bebop, on jazz, etc. Then we've got Kurt Rosenwinkel, who's another jazz great, who's got a lot of his guitar programs. And then Julian Larg has got some collaborations with a lot of I can't remember the names, but you'll be able to find it on his website, right? In fact, Jojo Mayer has a couple of interesting instructional drum lessons along with Hudson Music, right? So Hudson Music is known for their instructional books on drumming techniques, etc. And then Stanley Jordan has some interesting musical books, etc. I don't know if Guthrie still does it. I'm sure Marco also has a couple of interesting things that he's been doing. He's been doing a lot of stuff with Mohini De. He's been inspired by our Konnakol technique in India, right? So he uses a lot of that for his particular musical programs, etc. And interesting fact, I manage Darshan Doshi. So Darshan Doshi offers a lot of interesting programs on music, right? So he's been doing a lot of workshops, clinics, etc. on Konnakol and Indian rhythm patterns, etc.
And sometime back, I guess he also came to Calcutta to do a workshop in Top Cat.
That's right. I if I'm not wrong, he did one along with Global Musicians Institute, the one that's being run by Aditya Veera. And even Amida and Jivraj also did a very similar workshop there.
And Sambit Chatterjee came, if I'm not wrong, with Darshan.
Yeah, Sambit was also there. Correct. So they've been doing a lot of these. I mean, Indian techniques. You have a lot of books. You have. I feel if there is that urge to learn, we'll figure it out.
Anywhere.
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, we can go anywhere. The possibilities are numerous. It just lies with us to sort of drill down to that particular set of information that we are trying to sort of absorb, right? So a lot of these people have been doing some interesting courses on music, etc. Even Mark Letteri of Snarky Puppy has a lot of workshops and clinics online, right? So a lot of these interesting stuff that someone could enroll or get into. Or if they want to reach out to a certain artist, I'd be happy to sort of hook them up. I could write a mail to them, and then you guys can get started with your lessons.
So for the people who don't know, I'll be listing down his website So do contact him and flood him with emails. Connect kar do.
Yeah,
He'll
yeah,
do.
I'd be
He's such
happy
a very
to.
good guy.
Because India, especially, the talent pool that we have when it comes to just music is enormous. We have a lot of musicians coming out of music schools. Most of them being self-taught. There's a lot of creativity within
Some of them
a lot
not
of
taught.
us. Exactly. Self-taught musicians or self-taught people who aspire, they've been doing great. Even though they are not that technically exposed, I think they've been doing a good thing, whatever, in whatever capacity they are able to do. Right. So they've been doing a good job. Yeah.
On a scale of 100.
And one last thing, you also wanted to know about artist management. So I've never taken up any course on that, but I've read. I had this lovely book I picked up from the Oxford bookstore in Park Street, Kolkata. It was a book on artist management, right? Everything that has to do with artist management in the 90s to 2000s. It was a great read, man.
Where can I get that book? Can you help me get that?
I will send it to you. I'll send you a copy sometime.
Hi, thanks, man.
For sure.
I'll send you a biryani after that.
Oh wow! What kind of biryani are we talking? Dum biryani or?
You eat non-veg?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah.
Mutton biryani is famous in Calcutta.
Lovely.
I'll send you.
And anything
done. Barter deal done.
Sounds good.
So guys, this is also how you do deals. Okay, so nahi mazak karo, ye sab apply mat karna. On a scale of 100, how much importance do you give in knowing your craft, that is music, or any sorts of arts of in that sort, and knowing the business side of that? Is it 50-50 or 70-30?
See, I feel that if I'm doing something, I'd like to be the best at it. Right? So when it comes to artist management, I give it all. I give 100% of it. Like understanding the particular artist, their requirements, where they'd like to see themselves in, like a 5-year plan for them, right? So I don't work like a record label, but I deal with artists individually, right? So it's not that concept of a record label binding them onto a contractual situation, right? So I am there to support an artist's needs in whatever capacity, be it music campaigns, be it pan-India tours, be it international tours, be it endorsements. So I support them in all of these aspects.
Wow. So anyone can reach you out and ask for support.
Anyone can feel free to reach out to me. I'm the most approachable guy out there.
Yeah, I know.
And I'd be happy to work with anyone for that matter.
Yeah. That's why I said in the first place. Now I'll be asking you a lot of questions. So if you sometime get frustrated, do give me your other number. No,
I'm never frustrated.
Because you will. I'm for sure you will block me in this one number. So that's why I'm asking. You can give an alternate number where I can disturb you once.
Not at all. Not at all, man. Anytime. Happy to talk to anyone who has interesting stuff to talk about music or art in general. I'm completely open to it.
Such an interesting. So I'll send 2 biryanis right now.
So no Sandesh, just biryanis, huh?
Okay. ठीक है. Dessert भी दे दूँगा. ठीक है. Rasgulla. Okay, come on. Rasgulla. Sorry. Right? Yeah. Okay, ठीक है. मेरी गलती. चलो.
You could add some chum chum or some nice good rasgulla or something like that.
This is MasterChef India.
I wouldn't mind.
हाँ मैं भी मतलब खाने में come on, we are Indians.
Never compromise.
इतना तक दुबा के अगर खाएंगे नहीं तो रात में नींद नहीं आएगा.
बिल्कुल.
But the last question, otherwise you'll beat me up right now.
No. You can feel free to keep this
whole night
forum open. Yeah, why not?
I was wondering, what if you do a live? We can have 50
Yeah, we could
artists
do.
और सब मिलके
Why
एक
not?
साथ चलो कुछ भी करते हैं यार.
Why not, man? I'd
Mm-hmm.
be happy to be doing that with
Mm-hmm.
you.
So, what does a normal day look like in your life? Like, are you early waker or a night owl?
No, I'm more of a night owl,
Yeah, high
considering
five, man.
most of the artists I talk to, they are in either Pacific Standard Time or EST.
Yes.
Fun fact, I'll be talking to Musicstaan tomorrow.
Okay, the podcast ends here.
Yeah, so I've been interacting with him late in the night to sort of make this podcast happen. He's actually currently working on his new album which is going to be self-produced.
Wow.
Yeah, he's worked with the Concord Music Group. He's worked with Atlantic Music
records.
Records, and then he's one of the most prolific jazz guitar players.
Yeah.
And in fact, he had done something in Bombay a couple of years back with Gino and all these guys.
Hmm.
Yeah, and he also wants to come to India very soon.
Excited for this one. When is this podcast dropping?
So this interview will be tomorrow, but it'll be officially streaming on the 30th at 7 p.m. IST. So I have two interviews on 30th. So one is with Pete Bellotti. Pete Bellotti is the guy who brought Donna Summer and the whole disco scene back in the day. Right. So he's worked with Elton John, Donna Summer, Giorgio Moroder, the guy who's been on the Daft Punk record.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so he's king of disco. Yeah, so Pete Bellotti and Musicstaan on the 30th is going to be a fun session, two set of interviews. So really looking forward to conclude this lovely roller coaster of a year with a lot of ups and downs and some great guests. Yeah. So that'll be my 50th interview, in fact.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
How does it feel to score a half century right now?
Man, I don't know, dude. I feel there's no end to this. It's going to be a long-term process for me. And I'm just going to keep doing this. That's all.
Yeah, man. Love what you do, man. Like, keep doing it. I'm excited for this one. I'm waiting on 30th.
Yeah.
To end this off, I would like to ask, you have managed artists, you've worked with artists, you've had conversations with so many people. Out of your own experience of having dealt with artists and talked with them, me as an artist and all the other folks as an artist, you as an artist, what would you like to say to all of us, including you, in concept or in terms of 3 tips which they can use right now practically?
Never procrastinate. Do your stuff well in advance. Strategize things, right? A lot of us feel that we can just wing it, but I feel if we strategize it and have a vision that we can work towards, we can achieve whatever we'd like to at whatever capacity, right? And be open to collaborate with anyone, right? Like, do not look at the nature or the size of that particular entity. If there is an opportunity, just grab it. And make sure people value whatever you do. Right? So there's got to be some value associated with whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah.
It can't be too niche-centric either, that people don't pay attention or might be interested. Right? And be disciplined and be the best at whatever you're trying to do.
Butter smooth. Interesting. That's a really well finished off. Like, once again, for the audience, I'm saying, like, I'll put down his entire podcast, what he does, his entire website, please do check him out. He does phenomenal job, whatever he does with the artists. Go and check his interviews out. You'll get to learn a lot. You can't finish learning because. So one more tip I would like to give from my end, which is have a pen and copy always with yourself. Whatever it is that you're going. If you're going to a meeting, have a pen and copy. You never know what you go. You may write down a contact, you may write down an email address, you may write down a website, you may write down a platform, you may get a business card, put it in that folder, whatever the fuck it is. Just have a pen and copy with your bag all the time. Like as you have your phone in the pocket, have a paper and pen, right, all the time. And that's kind of it. Once again, I would like to see. I don't have any words to thank you. So first and foremost, thank you so much for joining in, man. Fantastic,
man. Chat, it's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure to be on a podcast. I feel this is like the first ever podcast that I'm getting called to. So I'm really thankful to you for making this happen, and keep doing what you do. And hopefully we get to collaborate.
Yes, real soon.
Stuff together. I'd love that.
Fantastic, man. Have a fantastic week ahead. And once again, thanks a lot. Means a lot, man.
Wishing you a very happy New Year.
Absolutely, same to you, man.
And send me the biryanis as soon as you can.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, I'll make sure to get the biryanis. And send me the book now. I want to read that artist management.
I will, for sure. I will send it to you.
So biryani and book barter done. Great. Thanks so
Sandesh
much.
Also.
Okay. Once again, thank you so much, Aditya. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.